All right, good evening, everybody. It is Michelle Poe here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Mr. Greg Dieker out there in gorgeous Colorado. My goodness, what a treat for us to be able to see that backdrop tonight, Greg. So thank you for sharing in that beauty. So as I said, my name is Michelle from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and we are so excited that you're here tonight. You are in amazing company with Mr. Greg. Greg is a great friend of mine. We've known each other for just over 6 years, and I can't even express to you how grateful that I am that he took the time out of his real busy schedule tonight. One of the greatest things within our company is that we all work together, and for those of you that are guests here tonight, we just want to welcome you. We're so happy that you're here. There's nothing greater than sharing this information with new people, or maybe this is your second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th time seeing this, and we just love to follow up and give people the information and the education and direct you to where you need to go to get what you need. Because I know 6 years ago when I was introduced to this, I had never done a business like this before, never thought of doing a business like this before, didn't know anything about nutraceuticals, although I did everything that I thought that I could do to be healthy, juicing and exercising and eating well. I didn't know what oxidative stress was. So I'm going to mention just that oxidative stress part. We are assuming that you've watched the ABC Primetime Investigative Report. And if you have not, make sure immediately following this that you go to www.abcliveit.com, and everything that we say tonight will make a lot more sense. But when that first came to me, I thank God every single day that my girlfriend Nikki came to me and said, Michelle, I know you're entrepreneurial, you're passionate about people and passionate about health. Little did she know, I had been dealing with massive health issues for over 5 years, going to Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, seeing neurologists all over the place. Didn't know if I was going to see my family in the days ahead. It was a very, very scary time. She also didn't know that my dad died of a heart attack at the age of 42. And we are the only branded natural product on the planet that we're aware of that's ever been published in the American Heart Association journal called Circulation, which is the premier cardiology journal of the world. And when my girlfriend came to me and said, Michelle, there's a cardiologist that's going to be talking about this tomorrow. I'm like, whoa. There was an ABC Primetime Investigative Report. There's going to be a cardiologist talking, and this man behind this won an Elliott Crescent Medal like Alexander Graham Bell, Orville Wright, and Henry Ford. And then she also didn't know that Shawn and I were working so many hours in a day that we were having a hard time spending the quality time with our kids, and that our youngest, or our oldest was saying to my husband, her daddy, don't go back. Don't go back, because he was having to fly out to New York and lay off people on a weekly basis and take jobs from Citibank back from New York to here to South Dakota, and it was killing him, literally. So the guests that are here tonight, I think, I know that you're here for a purpose, and you just don't know why you're here, and it'll make more sense perhaps later. And I know for Greg, this came into his life, and I know as a fact, it has absolutely changed his life. I'm going to read a little bit on him that he gave to me, but I can tell you a little bit more just with our personal relationship. But Greg actually came to Lifevantage in December of 2009, completely broke. He said dead broke, living paycheck to paycheck, and in bad need of Plan B. The year before, Greg and his wife Angelique had lost their home and all of their savings. They desperately needed a lifeline, and Lifevantage turned out just to be that. Though he had tried network marketing 7 times before over a 30-year span, he had never had success at any of them to even cover his expenses. But he never stopped believing in the power of residual income. Don't ever stop believing in it. He knew from the minute he was introduced to Lifevantage that this opportunity was different. I felt that gut thing too. 3 months into it, he had earned more than he made in any previous company. He reached the elite status, so over $100,000 a month in business volume in 13 months. 18 months into Lifevantage, Greg retired his job in law enforcement and he was at over 4 times what the sheriff paid him. Greg's background includes 28 years in the telecom, cable, and software industries, followed by a second career in law enforcement. His specialty in law enforcement was animal cruelty, which I know is big to his heart, and Lifevantage now allows him to donate his time to departments who have no trained animal cruelty investigators. Greg, I'm thinking about our history of conversations and different things. So reading this, my heart's going to you. His heart is in horses, and he carries a level of certification in equine cruelty investigation that only 40 other people in the U.S. carry today. Greg truly believes that network marketing works when you are in the right place at the right time, in the right culture, with the right leadership. He credits his group of hardworking leaders for growing the team to include over 4,000 distributors and 30,000 customers while building one of the top 25 businesses in Lifevantage. I told you, you guys are in for a treat tonight. Greg and Angelique live in a small ranch outside of Elizabeth, Colorado with an assortment of horses, cattle, dogs, cats, and various wildlife. When not traveling to help their team and build businesses, Greg and Angelique produce professional rodeos, including 2 national award-winning rodeos. And when they're not working their Lifevantage business, they spend the bulk of their time, their free time on their ranch in Elizabeth, Colorado with their nephews or on the rodeo road. So you guys, this is one thing with our company. We all work together. Greg and I are not in the same organization. We just got to know each other and we all work together. So him taking his time here tonight is a true gift. And I know his heart is here to help each and every person that he can touch and be and bless information with, because what I said there, when it's all coupled together, we have an opportunity of a lifetime. And more than anything, Greg, wouldn't you believe we have a mission and we have a responsibility and we have a massive purpose to share this gift. And so thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts for joining us tonight. And I'm going to let you take it over with your heart tonight. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And I will tell you that you've really touched on a key for me, and that is, if people ask me what's the best thing about Lifevantage, I always say it's the people. And it's all the friends that I've made and all the relationships I've developed. And I feel like I can almost literally travel the world now. And all I've got to do is find a Lifevantage distributor, and I've got a friend. I've got a guide. I've got a place to stay. I've got somebody to tell me where to go and what to do and how to get it done, no matter where we're at in the world. And you just don't get that elsewhere. You don't get that at any JOBB. I say JOBB because job ought to be a 4-letter word. The reality is that this is special. This is incredibly special. And you've told enough of my story already that I'm just ready to sign up now. Where do I sign? So let's get this started again. So anyway, guys, thanks for having me on tonight. I'm going to try to breeze through a bunch of stuff fast. I'm going to have a little opening here, and then I'm going to hit 6 things that are important to me. I'm going to do it at a very high rate of speed. I'm not as fast as Skip Campbell, so it's not quite that bad, but I'm close. So just grab a deep seat and hang on, as we like to say in the cowboy world. Here's the number one thing I want to say to people, and that is, I think the majority of the world is running on faulty programming. They're running on programming that has said there's only one way to create wealth in this world. And that one way to create wealth in this world is to go to school, get a job, or go to school, get an education, get a job, work for 40 years someplace, pay your bills off, get your house paid off, and then retire and live a life. Well, guess what? That might have been my parents, but that's not me. That's my generation. And I think that's probably not the generation of most of the people that are on this call today. In fact, most of us have probably experienced exactly the opposite, that when they tried to do that, it did not work. And so what they don't teach us is the fact that there's a second way to do this. There's another way to create wealth, and that way is via residual income. Now, most people, when you talk about residual income to them, they don't get it. They think, well, that's something that doesn't compute, because they can't understand it, because they're not creating it. They're not earning it. But they don't realize is they know tons of people who already are. Authors, actors, musicians, writers, all these people TV stars, movie stars. All these people are creating residual income. They're doing the work once and getting paid for it again and again. Well, sometimes that's hard for them to fathom because they've lived in these guardrails all their life of an environment that is linear. I go to work, I get paid. I go to work, I get paid. I don't go to work, I don't get paid. That's all they understand. They don't understand anything different. And I'm going to tell you now, you're going to run into people in this world that need those guardrails. Trust me, they need them. They're not us. They're not the 3% of the world that get there's another way to do this and get that there's a possible way to create the kind of residual income so that we get to spend our lives the way we want to spend it. If you haven't seen Skip Campbell's timeline that he's created a few months back, he created a timeline that if you draw it out from birth to death, it says for the first 20 to 25 years of your life, you are going to education. For the next 20 to 40 years of your life, you're earning an income. And then you retire, and hopefully you've got 10 to 20 years to live life on the terms that you want to live it on. That's the reality the majority of the world looks at. Well, there is an alternative reality. That alternative reality from birth to death looks like 20 to 25 years of education because it's incredibly important. But then it's 10 to 20 years, if it's done right, of building a business, building a residual income, and then it's 40 to 60 years of life. Which one of those makes more sense to you? For me, it's pretty simple. It's the second one. Now, unfortunately for me, I wasn't, as Michelle told you, I wasn't able to do that in the past. I tried 7 other companies because I kept seeing other people be successful. It just wasn't me. I knew that I just wasn't in the right place at the right time with the right combination of factors. And some of those factors I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But the reality is that I learned so much by being part of Lifevantage about what those other companies didn't have and why I couldn't be a success at them because I was looking for a different set of guardrails. And it was the kind of guardrails that are the components, the success components of Lifevantage that has made me a success and has helped so many other people be a success. If you guys, hopefully you can see this. This was a card that was available at the global convention. It's kind of the replacement for the old tear-off sheet. It's called the 6 Basic Elements of Successful Business. It lists the 6 elements. It has the timing curve on it, and it has the earned income statement on the back of it. This is my Bible now. I don't sit down and talk to anyone about this business without this card to lay in front of them, make notes on, and then send them home with. And especially if I'm sending them home with homework, I write the homework right on this. I say, this is what you do. This is all the information we have to talk to people. And the amazing part of it is when I look at these 6 basic elements that created a successful business, I see where I was missing those in the past. And I'm not missing them here. And that is why this is such an important business to be part of, because it's got all the right elements to be a success. Michelle mentioned the ABC Primetime, starting off with that. Well, that's how my story started off. Well, almost. My story started off at my chiropractor's office, Dr. Gary Campbell. Skippy, you know, most of you probably know him. I'm at Skip's office getting an adjustment one day, and as I walk out of his office to go home, he says, by the way, Greg, what are you doing tonight? I said, nothing. Why? And he said, why don't you come back to my office at 6:30? I got something I want to share with you. That's all he said. He didn't say Lifevantage. He didn't say Protandim. He didn't say superoxide disputase or Dr. McCord or anything else. He just said, come back to my office. I want to share something with you. I tell you that story because it's important to understand that he has a lot of credibility in my life. And so when he invited me, I listened. You have more credibility than you think you do. I promise you. It's your posture when you say it to people. I've got something I want to share with you. Please come and join me. That's the message that's got to get out there. I've gotten more appointments with people just by calling them up and saying, what are you doing tonight? Nothing. Why? Great. I'm coming over. Great. Meet me for a cup of coffee, or hey, I'm going to buy you a burger. Let's get together. How about lunch? How about coffee in the afternoon? I've made more appointments by just saying, hey, I've got something really important to share with you. And every time they say, what is it? I go, you'll find that out when I sit down to talk. And that's all I do. I need to tell them anything else. If they truly are interested in hearing what I've got to say, my credibility is going to get me that appointment. And I think that's what's going to get you guys that appointment, is your credibility and your posture when you deliver that message positively. So let's talk about my story and the 6 things that got me excited. I came to the meeting that night. Skip played the ABC Primetime. sat behind me while it was playing. There were only 2 guests there that night. As soon as it was over, I turned around and looked at him. I said, hey, Skip, please tell me. I don't know what I just saw, but please tell me there's a way a guy can make money doing that. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, see the guy sitting up in the upper left-hand corner of the room? He's about to tell you how to do that. His name is Tyler Daniels. He's the #1 man in the company. Now, Tyler proceeded to stand up, tell the story. He spent 3.5 hours talking about dynamic compression. I won't do that to you tonight, I promise. I'll keep it to 2.5. But no, seriously, if I never hear of dynamic compression again, it'll be too soon. But at the end of listening to him, I went, this is what I'm looking for. This is the opportunity I was seeking, because it had all the things that I was looking for. I knew I'd do network marketing again. I'd looked at 24 companies since I'd left the last company before, but they couldn't get past my first criteria, which was one-of-a-kind category creating products. If you couldn't do that, we couldn't have a conversation. I was tired of competition. I was tired of having to be on the defensive all the time with my products. And I don't have to do that here. We just point people to the science. They see it or they don't. If they don't see it, guess what? That's their problem. It's not my problem to make them see the science. I just show them the information. I let them connect the dots. Either they're going to connect the dots or they aren't. I just give them the information. But once they got past that, I had a few more criteria. One of my biggest criteria, outside of one-of-a-kind category creating products and no competition, the third was compensation. I was tired of being part of companies that you didn't make any money until you got to that Pro 9 or Pro 10 level. I was sick of that. You were working for years and not making any money. And so when I looked at the comp plan and saw that there was money to be made early on, there was money to grow in the middle, and there was good money on the back end, I went, okay, now you've got my interest. Now you're talking to me about something that's special. And that's what got me excited about this, was just those simple things. And then I said, I got to be in early. Well, guess what? We were in early. We're still in early. There's no question about the fact that we're in early. We'll talk about that. The reality is it met what I was looking for a business opportunity on my terms. But then when I looked at their terms, which are the 6 factors we're going to talk about now, it just solidified everything. It made the foundation exactly what I was looking for. So let's talk about those 6 things. Number 1, let's talk about the product and science. The simple thing to me about our products is we have something to share with people that no one else has. It's our jobs to go share that information. It's that simple. When you've got a one-of-a-kind product that addresses oxidative stress, a very simple concept in the body that when you take food and oxygen and turn it into energy, it creates it. Oxidative stress, you don't get away from it if you're alive, and it's bad for you. There's so much science on it that says it's related to all the top things that we face every day. What else do you need to know? And when someone says, will this address my lumbago? I don't know if it will or not. But let's go to pubmed.gov. I'm not going to be the source of information. I'm going to let somebody else be it. Let's go to pubmed.gov and let's let them show you oxidative stress and lumbago. That's how I do it. And I just let people find that information out for themselves. To me, it's important to do that because you want people to know that you aren't making this stuff up and you aren't creating it. It's someone else that has that information that you're going to be able to rely on. The studies, they're fantastic. Gosh, we're up to 23 studies or whatever right now and more underway. Incredibly important. But you know what? I only share 2 of them with people, and that's all I share. I share the latest 2 studies on longevity and on osteoarthritis. And the simple reason I do that is because ask people a question. Would you like to live longer? And most people say, yes, I'd like to live longer, but only if I can live better. And I say, well, here's a product that's now been proven in an 11-year study done at 3 different universities to increase health span, lifespan, by an average of 7%. And I actually had somebody say to me one night, well, 7% doesn't sound like much. And I said, no, in the greater scheme of things, it's probably not. But 7% for the average human's 5 years. And then I asked the guy, I said, do you have children? And he said, yes. I said, how about grandchildren? He said, 2. I said, what does 5 more years with your grandchildren mean to you? And I never said another word. And it took him about a minute, and he when he quit tearing up, he said everything. And that's the answer I get from everyone that has children and has grandchildren or wants to have some, is they say everything. That's what you're offering them. You're not offering them 5 years of health span. You're offering them 5 more years with their children. with their grandchildren. That's what you're offering them. That's the important part. So after we talked about the longevity study, I talked about the osteoarthritis study. Why? Because you don't get away from osteoarthritis. It's the natural process of the joints in your body breaking down over time. We all have it. We all get it. Some of us like me who've lived a full contact life my entire life, rodeoing for 47 years, rugby for 16 years, college football and baseball. A couple of those, hey, Bubba, hold my beer moments didn't go so well. Let's just say that I've got a lot of that. Well, they've proven we reduce osteoarthritis in the body. That's amazing, because now you've got a solution for that person that says, yes, I'd like to live longer, but only if I can live better. And then every now and then they'll come up with a third objection and they'll say, yeah, but I don't know I can afford to live longer. I don't have that good of a retirement account. And my answer every time is, well, thank you for asking. I've got a solution to that too, since you mentioned it. And we talk about the business part of it. That's what we're here to share with people. We're here to share with them a story that nobody else gets to share. Nobody else gets to say, we're going to help you have a longer health span. Nobody else gets to say, we're going to help you live more comfortably and better. Nobody else gets to say, on top of doing that, we can show you how to create residual income so that you've got the money to spend those years with your children and your grandchildren or your spouse or whatever it wants to be. That's the story we have to tell that nobody else gets to tell, and that's why I'm so excited about this, because I don't have to defend it. So to me, that's the simple side of the product and science. Obviously, there's a ton more information, and for people that want to get granular, we got it. But my suggestion to you is don't offer it. Just share and see where they want to take it. Let them guide you to the information that they need. The company. I've worked with some companies that just were not solid companies. They didn't have a great future in front of them. I'm super excited about where this company is at. I'm super excited about the leaderships that we have now with Darren and Justin and other new hires that they've made in the company. I see solid, good decisions being made by these guys. They've proven in the past they know how to be successful. Who else could you possibly want running your company? You want successful people. I was in a meeting with Darren, and we were talking about the credibility of the entire network marketing industry, and he threw a couple stats at me. And some of you guys may have heard this, but he said, do you realize that 1 in 7 homes has a network marketer in it? So if you have 10 houses on the block, one in 7 of those houses, besides you probably, has a network marketer in it. That's amazing. 1 in 3 homes purchase products from a network marketing company. That doesn't make us strange or different. That makes us pretty normal, because most of the products that come out of this industry are actually really great products. And when people think that this is not mainstream, guess what it is? Look at the number of people that are purchasing the products. Look at the number of people that are involved in this industry. The network marketing industry as a whole is growing right now by an average of 6% a year, according to the DSA. That's a lot. 6% is pretty solid, and it's been going like that for a number of years in a row. So all I can tell you is I love sharing with people that this company is publicly traded. It's on the NASDAQ. There's transparency into what we do. You just don't get to see that kind of an opportunity with other people. So now we've talked about the product and science. We've talked about the company. How about the timing? Well, it's simple. The Direct Sales Association says getting in a brand new opportunity in the top 150,000 distributors is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because they know statistically that 80% of the money ever paid out over the history of time in that company will go to the top 150. Well, we have 150. We have 100. I think the last numbers that they gave at one of the quarterly calls was 77,000 worldwide, half of them not in the United States. Well, what does that make our market penetration rate? About 0.003. That's so low, it's unbelievable. People don't know we exist. I've seen Skip throw out the challenge to people to say, take a clipboard, walk down your local mall, stop 100 people and ask them, have you ever heard of Pro Tandem? Have you ever heard of Lifevantage? And he said, if you find 3, I will be. We actually had a guy here in Denver do that in Park Meadows Mall, which is the largest mall in Colorado, and I think the second largest mall in the country. And he did that, and he found 1 person. It just proves that people don't know who we are. They don't know what we do, but they're learning that. Part of the way they're learning that is through our relationship with Real Salt Lake. That's my Real Salt Lake hat there. Real Salt Lake, guess what? Most people aren't soccer fans, not in this country anyway, but that's not what the rest of the world is like. And as we grow internationally into these soccer crazy countries, they may not know what we do, but they will know who we are. We will have name recognition. And that will be so important for us as we go into these countries and have them say, oh, Lifevantage, I recognize that from the jersey of whatever. That's what's going to happen. And that's going to open doors for us like you can't believe. Those are some of the kinds of decisions being made at our executive level that I personally, on the long run, think are brilliant. And they're going to help us grow no matter what. So product, the company, the timing, what's left? Compensation, wow. Talk about unbelievable. I've never seen, of all the companies I've looked at and all the companies I've been part of, I've never seen a company yet that has the kind of compensation plan we have that allows people to make money out of the gate. I mean, our commission structure is 40 to 50% right out of the gate for people starting. I know people that are in professional commission sales, if you will, with brick and mortar kind of companies. And when I ask them, hey, can you make 50% commission on your first sale to a customer? And they always say no. I've never heard anybody tell me they get 50%. They say that's stunning. 40% is stunning. Some companies you'll get a 25 to 30, 35%, but nobody does 40 or 50 in the real world. Guess what? They can't afford to do it. Why? Because they pay for these massive advertising budgets. We take that advertising money, we give it to you guys, and we pay it out. And so it's incredibly important to understand that. But we have money up front. We have money that grows in the middle, and we have money on the back end. I don't explain any of that to anybody. You know what I explain to them? I hand them that earned income statement. We're a publicly traded company. We're transparent. Those are audited numbers. They can rely on those, that low, that high, and that average income. And I just ask people, do you see yourself as average? Most people don't. Most people say, no, I'm not average. I said, okay, so let's look at the high-end incomes of those ranks. Let's look at the middle ranks that are making $4,000 and $5,000 and $6,000 and $7,000 a month. That's more money than the average American makes. The average income in the United States is $40,250 a year. We're making more than that on a part-time basis. I emphasize it's part-time because this is something I started at. I was a deputy sheriff at the time. I started doing this as a part-time income while I was a deputy sheriff. And thank God it got me out of that business because I enjoyed the work. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. But I was tired of living on $30,000 a year. $30,000 a year doesn't pay for the backdrop you're seeing behind me. In fact, we were so poor at the time when I was working for law enforcement that these trees you see back here, I was selling about 10 of them a month in order to pay my bills. That's how we put groceries in the refrigerator and diesel in the pickup, was selling trees off of our place. In fact, that's how I got in the business. Because when I walked out of Skip's office that night and I knew that this was the business for me, I didn't have any money. I was broke. I had to do something creative. Well, quite simply, I had one of these beautiful trees behind me that my tree guy had offered me $1,000 for, but my wife had said no. She said, we're not selling that tree. She had a small problem with it because it was in the front yard of our house. Well, my first phone call was not to my wife. It was to Steve, the tree guy, and said, hey, Steve, you still want that tree? And he's like, yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. I said, great. Be at my house tomorrow morning at 6:30 with your tree spade and a check for $1,000. It's yours. And then I had to go home and explain it to my wife. Needless to say, she wasn't very happy about it. But having said that, now, if you ask her about it, she'll tell you it's one of the best decisions we ever made because it gave us the money to get into this business, which has now changed our lives. Hopefully, we're not that far away from my wife being able to tell her employer that they can take a hike as well. We've just got a little bit farther to go. So the reality is was it worth selling a tree out of my front yard to get in Lifevantage? Absolutely. Every bit of it was worth it. Now, the backside of that story is I planted 2 trees to replace it, and they both died. So I had to jerk both of those out and put another one in. And fortunately, tree number 3 survived and is doing quite well. So in fact, I think you can probably see it over my shoulder over here if you looked at it careful enough. But the bottom line is that I had to be creative, and I know other people know how to be creative when that comes. So here's a company with great products, a great timing, good compensation. How about a system? People want to get involved in something. They do not want to just be sent a box worth of stuff and said, hey, good luck, let us know how you do. Our system is phenomenal. Our system of training, Lifevantage Academies, Elite Academy, which is here in Denver next week, Can't wait to see everybody come to my home state and be here in Colorado. It's going to be warm and sunny and beautiful, so expect some incredibly great weather. And oh, by the way, dry. So if you live in a humid environment, you'll know that it's going to be nice and dry here, and you're going to enjoy that a lot. You know, and probably the last thing that I would say is the trends. We're following an industry that's growing like crazy. The simple fact is the health and wellness industry is predicted to be the next $1 trillion industry. Do you want to hook your coattail on one that's kind of going slow, growing 2-3% a year? Or do you want to put your coattails on something, you grab onto something that's running fast and running hard? That's what we've got. That's the difference for us right now. So to me, I call this in the horse business, we refer to something we call the magic cross. And that's when you take two lines of breeding and you put them together, and both of them are great lines of breeding, but what they produce in the end is something magical. The horse is stronger and faster and better and more competent than either one of the lines that it came from. To me, that's this business, because we have everything we need in order to blow this thing up and make it the biggest business in the entire network marketing industry. I think the biggest reason why we're not there today is us. We've got to get better at this, guys. We got to just do more of it. We got to talk to more people. We got to share it more. We got to recruit more. Every single person that comes into my life, trust me, they have a conversation about Lifevantage. Whether they're intending to or not, before it's done, I will. How do I do that? I listen to them. I ask a lot of questions. I find out what's going on in their life. It's the typical form: family, occupation, recreation, and message. Some people say M is money. I throw money in there too. But, you know, if I'm talking to somebody and I talk to them about recreation, say, hey, man, how'd your elk hunt go this year? And they say, well, I didn't get to go. And I'll go, well, why didn't you get to go? And they say, well, I couldn't afford to go. My next question is, well, what are you going to do different to afford to go next year? And if they say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, say, well, great. I got a little something I'm doing on the side. I'm having some fun and making some money. Can I get 30 minutes of time to share with you? Let's have coffee tomorrow. Let's have lunch tomorrow. Let's have the papers blow away. You know, the bottom line is that all of that is possible just by asking a few questions. I pay attention to what's going on in my marketplace. I pay attention to the companies that are out there today. When, for example, when one of the local companies that I have some friends working for announced that they were merging with another company, I called every single person I knew that was working at that company and said, listen, are you worried because of the merger? Is your job in jeopardy? And most of them said, I don't really know. Well, I'm talking to one guy that's working in the finance department, and he goes, well, I look at it this way. They've got a finance department, and we've got a finance department. He said, when it's all said and done, he said, there's going to be one. He said, I just don't know if I'll be part of it. And then I asked the question, what's your plan B? And he said, I don't have a plan B. I said, okay, great. Let's sit down and talk. I would really like to share with you my plan B. Why? Because it saved me, and it became my plan A. It changed my entire world. If you ask the question the right way and you share the information the right way, guess what? They're going to give you the opportunity to share that information with them. But it's questions. It's questions about their life, about their family, about their job, about their entire world that's going to open the door to you to be able to step in and say, well, hey, I've got something that I think is important that you're going to want to hear. Let's sit down and talk about it. I don't force it on them. I ask them a question. I ask them, one of my favorite questions is just somebody, hey, would you like to make more money this year than you made last year? If they say yes, we're on. Once in a while, I actually get somebody who tells me no. They say, you know what, I made more money last year than I ever dreamed I'd make. And you know what I say? Congratulations. When that changes, would you let me know? Because if you're used to living on that level of income and it goes away, you're going to be looking for some reason some way to replace that income, right? And they always say yes. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Michelle. Guys, that's the simple things I share with people. I have fun doing it. I keep it exciting. I keep it energetic. But I keep it personal. I talk to people and I ask a lot of questions. And I think that's the number one thing. If you walk away from this conversation today, is ask people a lot of questions. The more questions you ask, the more involved you'll be with them, the more that they're going to think, and it's going to make them want to hear the information you have to share. Michelle, thank you, and Shawn, for inviting me on your call. I love you guys. I love having you in my world. If it wasn't for Lifevantage, wouldn't know you guys or a ton of other people that are here, and I'm so thrilled you asked me to join you tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's you know, when you first get involved with this, you hear that it's this big family reunion, and you go to these events and you see people hugging, and you're like, oh, is that for, and it, you know, it truly is family. It's not this thing you go to work for. It's not this place where you're competing. It is true family, and it is an absolute blessing and gift. And what you do for all of us, Greg, is so appreciated. What was it that you said that was kind of like a perfect storm? What do you call it in the horse world?
In the horse world, we call it a magic cross.
Okay, there we go. Magic cross. Because I always say, we've known about this, Shawn and I, for 6 years now. And I get chills. I don't know. I wrote down on my paper, I've got lots of notes here from you. And I wrote down chills a couple times because a few times as you were talking, I just got chills for various different reasons. And a lot of it is your magic cross, or the perfect storm of these products coupled with our corporate staff and the timing of this. And it's just absolutely crazy. And what you're saying, Greg, as far as just listening to people, it is such a gift that we have something so magical that we can truly fuel and fill the need that individual has. So when you are asking those questions, whether it be they need more relationships, they want to give back to more charities, they want to be around the like-minded people, they have health issues maybe they want to do, they need more money, they want to be with their grandkids more. I mean, you name it, they want to grow personally. I know people that have tons of money and they just want a purpose. They want something to work towards that as a purpose. And to know that we've got all of that here is unbelievable. And I know people tonight were tuning in, Greg, to listen to you too, because they know your passion for animals and horses and whatnot. We don't say that we cure, treat, prevent, or mitigate anything. We're natural, and we are power-packed with science, as he said, and we are bulletproof. Nobody has what we have on the planet. But do your horses take Protandim, or have they, and your animals?
Oh, yeah. Every animal in my place is on Protandim. My dogs, of course, are on Pet Tandem.
Yes.
But my horses are all on Protandim. They have been for almost 7 years now. According to Dr. McCord, I'm the first person who ever fed it to a horse. And I've actually spent quite a bit of time collecting information from people and testimonials from people about it, and quizzing Dr. McCord to get more information about the impact on horses, versus a human. If you're interested in that information, I've actually written a white paper about it. And what I can do is I can send it to you, Michelle. I've got your email address. I'll send it to you. I actually just updated it to kind of change the verbiage to the impact of NRF2 activation in horses via Protandim. And I had it reviewed by a vet that I trust to get his opinion on it, and he liked the way it was done. So I will send that to you, and feel free to distribute that to your team, because anybody that's where it talks about not only dosage, but it talks about the way it works in the body. It talks about suggested language when you want to have a conversation with somebody about horses. They're always asking me, well, what do I say to people? Well, here's some suggestions of how you have that conversation and why it's important. So I'll email that to you, and feel free to share with your team.
Amazing. I know you've always been so generous, and I've seen some of the stuff in the past, but have not seen this. So this is awesome, awesome, awesome. And when you had mentioned too about people walking around in the country asking if they've heard of Lifevantage, Protandim, NRF2 activation, Shawn and I actually did that when we were in Australia. We took our computer and walked around on the beach asking people, have you ever heard of Protandim? Have you heard of Lifevantage? Have you heard of Protandim? Have you heard of Lifevantage? We videotaped the whole thing, you guys. Not one person. That's what we've got here at Lifevantage, is we have a massive purpose. These products have a massive purpose for this residual income and helping people get what they want out of life. And the timing couldn't be any better. So thank you so much. We love you. We cherish you. I can't wait to give you a big squeeze. And for those of you that are guests here tonight, get back to the person that invited you and let them know where you're at. If you're like, oh my gosh, I see this. All right, let's get started tonight. It's so quick and easy to get started. It's that part's almost ridiculous too, how easy it is to get started. It's very, very cool. If you need any more information, we will direct you to where you need to go, or we'll help get you connected to somebody. I always say we're just connectors. We connect people who need whatever that they need. And if your timing isn't right now, that's okay. We're just here having a good time, and we're happy that you came here tonight and gave us some of your time to listen to Mr. Greg. So thank you. Love you. Have a great evening, everybody, and bless you. Good night.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate all your time. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.